My girlfriend took a rich man's job behind my back, abandoned our flower shop, ignored our love, and left me for his money. My name's Matteo, and I used to think I had it all figured out. A little flower shop, a girl I loved more than anything, a simple, beautiful life. Turns out, simple and beautiful can get bulldozed by a wad of cash and a smooth talker faster than you can say long-stemmed roses. It all started, as these things often do, so innocently. Just another Tuesday. The bell above the door of Petal Pushers, my little slice of floral heaven, jingled, and in walked chaos, though I didn't know it at the time. It was just a delivery order. A big one. 3 dozen long-stemmed reds, the expensive kind, for some address up in the Heights, the part of town where the houses have names instead of numbers. Now, Petal Pushers wasn't just my shop, it was our shop. Mine and Sophia's. Sophia. God, just saying her name still does a weird little twisty thing in my chest. She was radiant, like a sunflower in a field of daisies. Smart, funny, with this infectious laugh and a passion for flowers that matched my own. We'd met a few years back when she applied for a part-time job at the shop while she was in art school. We clicked instantly. Soon, part-time became full-time, employee became partner, and girlfriend became fiancée. We poured our hearts and souls, and every penny we had, into that little shop. It was our dream, our future, woven together with stems and ribbons. So, this big order for the Heights. Sophia, being the artist she was, arranged them beautifully. Someone's trying to impress someone, she'd said, winking at me as she tied off the ridiculously oversized bow. Since it was a priority delivery and I was swamped with walk-ins, Sophia offered to take it herself. No big deal. She made deliveries sometimes, especially for the VIP clients or the tricky addresses. She came back a couple of hours later, a little flustered, but with that sparkle in her eye that usually meant she'd charmed a new regular or gotten a hefty tip. Wow, she said, fanning herself. That place was something else. Like a palace. And the guy who ordered them, Mr. Alastair Finch, very, distinguished. Distinguished, huh? I teased. Should I be worried? She laughed, that beautiful, carefree laugh that I loved. Don't be silly, Teo. He was just polite. And he really loved the arrangement. Said it was the most beautiful he'd ever seen. Flattery. Harmless enough, I thought. Just a rich guy appreciating good work. The next week, another order from Mr. Alastair Finch. This time, even bigger. White orchids, exotic lilies, stuff that cost a fortune. And a specific request. Please have the talented young lady who arranged the previous delivery bring these as well. Her artistry is unparalleled. Sophia blushed when I read her the note. See, Teo? I told you he liked my work. Or he likes you. I grumbled, a tiny, irrational flicker of jealousy sparking. She playfully swatted my arm. Oh, stop it. He's probably just an eccentric old millionaire who appreciates a good floral design. And besides, she added, her eyes softening as she looked at me, he's not you. And that was enough for me. Because I trusted her. Implicitly. Utterly. Stupid, trusting me. The orders from Alastair Finch became a regular thing. Always extravagant. Always with a request for Sophia to deliver them personally. He'd call the shop sometimes, asking to speak to her directly, to discuss the nuances of his upcoming arrangement. I'd overhear snippets of their conversations. Her laughter, a little more refined, somehow, when she spoke to him. His smooth, cultured voice, full of compliments and easy charm. I didn't like it. Not one bit. But what could I say? He was a good customer. A very good customer. His orders alone were practically keeping the shop afloat during a slow season. And Sophia. She seemed to genuinely enjoy the challenge of his elaborate requests, the appreciation he showed for her talent. He's just a lonely old man, Teo. She'd reassure me when I'd voice my discomfort. And he's helping us pay the bills. What's the harm? The harm, I would later learn, was insidious. A slow poison, seeping into the cracks of our relationship, disguised as opportunity and appreciation. Then things started to change. Subtle things, at first. Sophia started dressing up more for her deliveries to Finch's mansion. Her usual comfortable jeans and t-shirts were replaced by more stylish dresses, a touch more makeup. She started talking about the things she saw at his house. The art, the antiques, the sheer, unadulterated wealth. There was a new wistfulness in her voice, a longing that I hadn't heard before. She also started getting gifts. Small things, initially, A rare orchid cutting he said he thought she might appreciate. A signed art book by one of her favorite painters, which he just happened to have an extra copy of. Isn't that a bit inappropriate, is? I asked one evening, when she came home with a delicate silk scarf he'd given her, supposedly because the color perfectly matched her eyes. She bristled. Don't be like that, Teo. He's just being kind. He's a patron of the arts. He appreciates talent. You should be happy for me. Happy? I was a knot of anxiety and a growing, sickening dread. This lonely old man was starting to sound less like a patron and more like a predator. And Sophia? Sophia was starting to sound less like my partner and more like someone being slowly, expertly lured away. The real turning point, the moment I knew in my gut that something was seriously wrong, was when Finch offered her a job. She came home one night, her eyes shining with an almost manic excitement. Teo, you won't believe it, she exclaimed, practically vibrating. Alistair, Mr. Finch, he offered me a position at his company. Finch, it turned out, wasn't just some eccentric millionaire hoarder of expensive flowers. He owned a string of boutique hotels, luxury resorts, the kind of places where a single night cost more than our monthly rent. And he wanted Sophia to be his what? His personal florist? He wants me to be his creative consultant, she explained, her words tumbling out in a rush. To oversee all the floral designs for his hotels, to source unique pieces, to bring my artistic vision to his empire. It sounded too good to be true. And usually, when things sound too good to be true, they are. That's a big step, I said, trying to keep the skepticism out of my voice. What about the shop? What about us? Her face fell, just a little. Well, obviously, I'd have to leave the shop, Teo. This is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. The salary he's offering, it's incredible. We could have everything we've ever dreamed of. We could have everything, or she could. But the shop is our dream, I said, my voice pleading. We built it together. And we can build new dreams, Teo, she insisted, her eyes bright again. Bigger dreams. Don't you see? This could change everything for us. I saw all right. I saw her slipping away from me, drawn by the siren song of wealth and glamour, a song I, with my little flower shop and my modest dreams, could never compete with. She didn't ask for my permission. She didn't ask for my opinion. She informed me. She was taking the job. She was starting next month. I could run pedal pushers on my own, couldn't I? It would be a bit more work, but she'd still help out on weekends, when she wasn't too busy with her new responsibilities. The words were like a death knell for our relationship, though I didn't fully realize it then. I was too busy feeling betrayed, confused, and utterly, hopelessly inadequate. I tried to argue. I tried to reason. I tried to remind her of what we had, of the love we shared, of the future we had planned. Teo, don't make this harder than it has to be, she said, her voice tinged with an impatience that cut me to the core. This is happening. You can either support me, or you can make things difficult. The implication was clear. Get on board, or get out of the way. So, I got out of the way. What choice did I have? I loved her. I wanted her to be happy, even if her happiness meant leaving me, and our shared dream, behind. The shop felt empty without her. Her laughter, her creativity, her vibrant energy, it was all gone, replaced by a hollow ache and the constant, nagging fear that I was losing her. And I was. She threw herself into her new job with a passion that was almost frightening. The late nights became even later. The business trips to exotic locations became more frequent. When she was home, which was rare, she was distant, preoccupied, always on her phone, texting, emailing, her world now revolving around Alistair Finch and his luxury empire. The talk of us and our future dwindled, replaced by excited chatter about new hotel openings, art acquisitions, and the incredibly sophisticated people she was now rubbing shoulders with. I became a spectator in her life, a relic from a past she was rapidly outgrowing. The wedding plans were put on hold indefinitely. We're just too busy right now, Teo, she'd say, with a dismissive wave of her hand. Let's revisit it when things settle down. But things never settled down. They just got worse. The final, soul-crushing blow came, ironically, through pedal pushers. It was a busy Friday. I was run off my feet, trying to manage a flood of orders for a big corporate event. One of the orders was from Finch's company, a huge, ostentatious arrangement to congratulate Finch on some new promotion or acquisition. I didn't even bother to read the card properly. It was addressed to his office, priority delivery. Normally, I would have sent one of my part-time delivery guys, but they were all out, and I was already behind schedule. So, with a sigh of resignation and a heavy heart, I loaded the damn thing into my van and drove up to the Heights myself. Finch's office building was one of those sleek, modern glass and steel monstrosities that screamed money and power. I navigated the labyrinthine corridors, following the directions on the delivery slip, until I found his office. Suite 3200. The door was slightly ajar. I could hear voices inside. Laughter. A woman's laughter. A familiar laugh. Sophia's laugh. My blood ran cold. I pushed the door open a little further, just a crack, and I saw them. Alastair Finch, looking every inch the distinguished, silver-haired predator, was leaning against his massive mahogany desk, and Sophia, my Sophia, was in his arms. Her back was to me, but I'd know that cascade of dark, curly hair anywhere. His hands were on her waist, pulling her close. And they were kissing. Not a polite, friendly kiss. This was a deep, passionate, all-consuming kiss. The kind of kiss we hadn't shared in. God, I couldn't even remember how long. The world stopped. My heart shattered. The carefully constructed dam of denial I had built around myself burst, and a tidal wave of pain, of betrayal, of pure, unadulterated rage washed over me. I didn't storm in. I didn't make a scene. I don't know how, but some primal instinct for self-preservation kicked in. I fumbled for my phone, my hands shaking so badly I could barely hold it. I managed to snap a few photos, a short, shaky video. Evidence. Not that I needed it. The image was burned into my retinas, a permanent, searing brand. Then, I backed away, silently, like a thief in the night. I left the flowers, Finch's goddamn congratulatory flowers, outside his door. And I fled. I drove around for hours, aimlessly, the images replaying in my mind like a horror movie on a loop. Sophia, in his arms. Kissing him. Laughing with him. My Sophia. No, not my Sophia anymore. His Sophia. By the time I got back to our apartment. No, my apartment. I corrected myself bitterly. I was a wreck. Numb. Broken. She came home late, as usual. Humming, a little flushed, that now familiar secretive smile playing on her lips. Hi, Matteo, she said, breezing past me. Long day. You wouldn't believe the— I know, Sophia, I said, my voice flat, devoid of emotion. She stopped, turned. Know what? I showed her the video on my phone. Her face went white. The smile vanished. For a second, just a fleeting second, I saw a flicker of panic in her eyes. But it was quickly replaced by that cool, detached composure that had become her trademark. She didn't deny it. She didn't try to explain. She didn't even have the decency to look ashamed. She just sighed, that same goddamn exasperated sigh. Well, she said, her voice as cold as ice. I guess there's no point in pretending anymore, is there? No point in pretending. Our entire relationship, our love, our future, reduced to a pretense. So, it's true, I said, the words tasting like ash in my mouth. You and Finch. Yes, she said simply. No apology. No remorse. Just a bald, brutal admission. Why, Sophia? I choked out, the pain a raw, open wound. Why would you do this to us? To me? She actually had the audacity to look impatient. Oh, Matteo, don't be so melodramatic. These things happen. These things happen. Happen. I was struggling to keep my voice even, to keep the rage from consuming me. You threw away everything we had, Sophia. For him. For money. For a lifestyle. And then, she delivered the final, killing blow. The words that would haunt me, that would define the desolation of my betrayal. Let's be honest, Matteo, she said, her voice laced with a casual cruelty that was almost unbearable. Alastair can give me things you never could. A future. Excitement. Security. You were sweet, Matteo. You were comfortable. But I want more than comfortable. I want more. More. I wasn't enough. My love wasn't enough. Our little flower shop, our simple dreams, they weren't enough. So that's it then, I said, a bitter, hollow laugh escaping my lips. We're done. I think that's best, don't you? She said, as if we were discussing the weather. She walked towards the bedroom, Started pulling a suitcase from the closet. I'll be out by morning. I'll send for the rest of my things later. Just like that. No tears. No regrets. Just a cool, clinical severance. Like amputating a limb that had become inconvenient. I just stood there, watching her pack, watching her systematically dismantle our life, our future, with the same detached efficiency she probably used to arrange Finch's goddamn flowers. And in that moment, something inside me broke. The love, the hope, the trust, it all shattered, leaving behind nothing but a cold, empty void. She left the next morning. Didn't even say goodbye. Just walked out the door, into her new, exciting, more than comfortable life with Alistair Finch, leaving me alone in the ruins of ours. The aftermath was brutal. The pain was a constant companion, a dull, throbbing ache that never really went away. I closed pedal pushers. I couldn't bear to be in that shop, surrounded by the ghosts of our shared dreams, the scent of flowers now a sickening reminder of her betrayal. I sold off the stock, the fixtures, everything. Walked away with barely enough to cover the outstanding bills. I moved out of our apartment, found a tiny, depressing room in a shared house on the other side of town. I took a dead-end job at a garden center, mindlessly watering plants, stacking bags of soil, trying to numb the pain, trying to forget. Some days, I didn't even get out of bed. What was the point? The world felt gray, colorless, devoid of joy. Sophia had taken all the color with her. Friends tried to help. My parents, who had adored Sophia, were devastated, confused. They tried to reach out, but I pushed them away. I didn't want their pity, their well-meaning advice. I just wanted to be left alone with my misery. I became a ghost of my former self. Gaunt, unkempt, a permanent shadow of grief in my eyes. The vibrant, passionate Matteo who loved flowers and laughter and Sophia was gone, replaced by this hollow, broken shell. It went on like that for almost a year. A year of darkness, of despair, of a pain so profound I sometimes wondered if I would ever feel anything else again. And then, slowly, almost imperceptibly, something started to shift. Maybe it was the sheer, unadulterated monotony of my misery. Maybe it was a flicker of defiance, a refusal to let her completely destroy me. Or maybe, just maybe, it was Maya. Maya worked at the garden center with me. She was quiet, unassuming, with kind eyes and a gentle smile. She didn't pry, didn't ask questions. She just saw me, saw the pain I was trying so desperately to hide. She'd leave a cup of coffee on my workbench in the mornings, share her lunch with me when she knew I hadn't bothered to pack any, talk to me about a new variety of rose or a particularly stubborn weed, her voice a calm, soothing balm to my raw, frayed nerves. She didn't try to fix me. She didn't offer platitudes or easy answers. She just was there, a quiet, steady presence in the storm of my grief. And slowly, very slowly, I started to respond. I started to talk. About Sophia. About the shop. About the betrayal. About the pain. I poured out all the ugliness, all the anger, all the heartbreak. And Maya just listened. Patiently. Compassionately. Without judgment. She became my anchor, my lifeline. The first ray of sunshine after a long, dark, seemingly endless night. With her quiet encouragement, I started to rebuild. I found a small studio apartment, a step up from the depressing room I'd been hiding in. I started taking on small landscaping projects, rediscovering my love for plants, for creating beauty. It wasn't easy. There were days when the grief would hit me like a rogue wave, threatening to pull me under again. Days when the anger would flare, hot and consuming. But Maya was always there, a steady hand to hold, a calm voice to guide me back to shore. We became friends, close friends. And then, inevitably, wonderfully, we became more. Falling in love with Maya was different. It wasn't the wild, passionate, all-consuming fire I had shared with Sophia. It was a slow burn, a gentle warmth that seeped into the cold, empty spaces in my heart, healing them, making them whole again. Maya was everything Sophia wasn't. She was honest, loyal, kind. She valued love, not luxury. She saw me, the real me, flaws and all, and she loved me anyway. She helped me rediscover the Matteo I thought had died, the Matteo who loved flowers and laughter and life. With Maya by my side, I started to dream again. We opened a new shop, Second Bloom. A small, cozy place, filled with light and laughter, and the scent of fresh flowers. It wasn't as grand as pedal pushers, but it was ours, built on a foundation of love, trust, and a shared passion. Life was good again. Different, yes. The scars were still there, a permanent reminder of the past. But they no longer defined me. I was healing. I was happy. And then, about 3 years after Sophia had walked out of my life, just as second bloom was starting to thrive, just as Maya and I were talking about getting married, buying a little house, maybe even starting a family, Sophia reappeared. It was a Saturday morning. The shop was busy. Maya was helping a customer choose a wedding bouquet, her face animated, her laughter echoing through the small space. I was in the back, wrestling with a particularly stubborn shipment of orchids, when the bell above the door jingled. I didn't look up immediately, just called out, "Be with you in a sec." Matteo. That voice. My blood ran cold. My heart leaped into my throat. I straightened up, slowly, and there she was. Sophia. But not the Sophia I remembered. Not the radiant, confident woman who had been lured away by Alastair Finch's millions. Not even the cool, composed woman who had walked out on me without a backward glance. This Sophia was a wreck. Her clothes, once so stylish and expensive, were rumpled, ill-fitting. Her hair was lank, her face pale, her eyes haunted, red-rimmed, as if she hadn't slept in days. She looked desperate, broken. The contrast between her and Maya, who was now standing beside me, her hand instinctively reaching for mine, her eyes full of a quiet concern, was stark. Maya, with her gentle smile and her simple, unassuming beauty, radiated a warmth, a contentment, that Sophia, for all her former glamour, now utterly lacked. "Sophia," I said, my voice carefully neutral, though inside, a maelstrom of emotions was churning. What are you doing here?" She wrung her hands, her eyes darting around the little shop, taking in the simple, unpretentious beauty of it. A stark contrast, I imagined, to the opulent world she had briefly inhabited. "Matteo, I need to talk to you," she said, her voice a hoarse whisper. "Please, it's important." Maya squeezed my hand. I'll be in the back, Teo," she said softly, giving Sophia a brief, polite nod before disappearing through the curtain. I gestured towards a small table we kept in the corner for consultations. "All right, Sophia. Talk." She sat down, perched on the edge of the chair, as if she might bolt at any moment. And then, the story came tumbling out. A sordid, predictable tale of greed, betrayal, and a spectacular fall from grace. Alastair Finch, it turned out, was not just a predator. He was a fickle one. After about a year of showering Sophia with expensive gifts, whisking her off to exotic locations, and parading her around as his latest arm candy, he had, as they say, grown bored. He hadn't been cruel about it, not in the way he apparently had been with other conquests. He'd just lost interest, moved on to the next shiny new toy. He'd given her a generous severance package, a final, dismissive payoff, and then cut her loose, leaving her adrift in the shallow, shark-infested waters of the world she had so desperately wanted to be a part of. Sophia, who had grown accustomed to a lifestyle far beyond her means, who had burned through Finch's money with a reckless abandon, convinced that the gravy train would never end, suddenly found herself broke. She'd tried to maintain the facade, of course, tried to keep up appearances, but the designer clothes and the fancy dinners and the five-star hotels don't pay for themselves. The credit card bills piled up. The eviction notices started arriving. She tried to find another rich benefactor, another Alastair Finch to rescue her. But her reputation, as Finch's discarded mistress, preceded her. No one wanted damaged goods. She'd even, she admitted, her voice choked with shame, tried to crawl back to Finch, begging him to take her back. He'd just laughed in her face. Now, she was facing eviction from her ridiculously overpriced apartment, hounded by creditors, her dreams of a glamorous life in tatters. She was, in a word, desperate. Tears were streaming down her face as she told me all this, a torrent of self-pity and regret. "I was so stupid, Matteo," she sobbed. "So foolish. I threw away everything that mattered for nothing. For a fantasy. I had a real life with you, a real love. And I destroyed it." I listened, my face impassive. The anger, the bitterness I had felt for so long, it was still there, a dull, familiar ache. But mixed with it now was a strange, almost detached pity. She looked so pathetic, so utterly defeated. "And what do you want from me, Sophia?" I asked, when her sobs finally subsided. She looked up at me, her eyes wide, pleading, filled with a desperate, last-ditch hope. "Matteo, I know I don't deserve it. I know I have no right to ask. But I'm in trouble. Real trouble. I need help. Help." After everything she had done, after she had ripped my heart out, stomped on it, and then walked away without a second thought. "You need money, you mean?" I said, my voice flat. She flinched, but didn't deny it. I don't know where else to turn, Matteo. You're the only one. You were always so kind. So forgiving. Kind. Forgiving. Was that what she thought of me? A doormat? A fool she could manipulate, then discard, then come crawling back to when her new, exciting life blew up in her face? "Sophia," I said, my voice quiet, but with an edge of steel she couldn't have missed, "you made your choices. You chose Finch. You chose the money, the glamour, the more than comfortable life. You told me I wasn't enough. You told me our life, our love, wasn't enough. I know, she cried. And I was wrong. So horribly, terribly wrong. But people make mistakes, Matteo. Don't they deserve a second chance? A second chance." I thought of all the sleepless nights, all the pain, all the slow, agonizing rebuilding I had had to do. I thought of Maya, her gentle smile, her unwavering love, the woman who had patiently, lovingly, helped me piece myself back together. And I looked at Sophia, this broken, desperate woman, who had once held my heart in her hands, and then carelessly, cruelly, crushed it. "Some mistakes, Sophia," I said, my voice devoid of any emotion, "are too big. Some betrayals cut too deep. Some things just can't be fixed." Her face crumpled. The last vestiges of hope drained from her eyes, leaving them empty, desolate. So you won't help me?" she whispered. "No, Sophia," I said. "I won't." It wasn't about revenge. It wasn't about wanting to see her suffer. It was about self-preservation. It was about protecting the new life I had built, the new love I had found. It was about finally, choosing myself. I stood up. "I think you should go now, Sophia." She didn't move for a long moment. Just sat there, staring at me, her face a mask of utter despair. Then, slowly, like an old woman, she rose to her feet. She didn't say anything else. Didn't plead. Didn't argue. She just turned and walked out of the shop, out of my life, for the second and final time. Maya came out from the back, her eyes full of a quiet understanding. She didn't ask what had happened. She didn't need to. She just came to me, wrapped her arms around me, and held me. And in her embrace, I felt not triumph, not satisfaction, but a profound, weary sense of peace. The past was finally, truly, in the past. And the future was bright. Full of love, full of hope, full of second blooms. And this time, I knew, with a certainty that settled deep in my bones, this time, it would last. Because this time, it was real.